Hello and welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner podcast, brought to you by manscaped.com on this deadline day special, and it looks as though it's going to be a very busy one for the Arsenal. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. A little bit later than usual, but that's because I wanted to get everything else done out of the way so we could focus solely on this. It's our transfer deadline special, and I'm sure, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be bringing you another one of these a little bit later on tonight. Fingers crossed, though. That's not for definite because it obviously depends on what happens between now and then, but fingers crossed that will be the case. Now, as you can see rolling across the bottom of your screens, it is being reported that Thomas Partey is going to undergo an Arsenal medical. Now, let me fill you guys in on how this is all unfolded from the start, from this morning up until where we find ourselves now with regards to the situation. So, obviously, people were losing their shit yesterday. I had a little bit of a rant about it on last night's podcast about the fact that I couldn't believe how some Arsenal fans had gone from, we're on a positive trend with Mikel Arteta to now he should quit and Arsenal are definitely going to finish 8th again, etc., etc. I just thought it was all too reactionary because there was always a chance that something was going to happen today. Now, of course, the deal is not complete yet. We don't know for sure whether Arsenal are going to be able to get it over the line. We know that we've left it very, very last minute. But Arsenal are trying. Arsenal are desperately trying to get Thomas Partey in between now and when the window slams shut at 11 p.m. tonight. So we heard earlier today that Arsenal had made a move for Thomas Partey. I first came across it from Charles Watts' report. Charles Watts saying that Arsenal had made their move and that the story was going to follow. We then learned that Arsenal had contacted La Liga and made their intention of paying the players' release clause clear, which is the way it works in Spain. So some of you may be a little bit confused as to what La Liga have to do with it. Well, this is the way it works in Spain. The players' registration is not owned by the club, it is owned by La Liga. Therefore, if it comes to dealing with a release clause, in particular, you have to go through La Liga. You have to make your intention clear that you're going to trigger it. You then make the payment to La Liga, who then in time pass the payment on to the club. That is how it works in Spain, and that is why it takes a little bit longer sometimes to get deals over the line. That is why people are panicking. People are worried about the time element. And then we heard just a while ago, maybe an hour, a little bit more than an hour ago, that Thomas Partey is due to undergo an Arsenal medical. Now, that medical, from what I understand, is likely to take place in Madrid to save time, obviously. We are very, very close to the deadline. There's, 5.5 hours to go between now and then. It's also understood that personal terms have been kind of agreed in principle with Thomas Partey's camp for a while. Therefore, that shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be an issue. If we're able to get sort of everything done in terms of crossing the I's, dotting the T's, then we very much expect Thomas Partey to become an Arsenal player. We don't expect there to be any problems with his personal terms or with anything else, in fact. So Arsenal on the verge of pulling off a really big signing. I've been saying to you guys throughout this transfer window that it was always going to be one or the other. It was going to be Omar or it was going to be Partey. This thought that it was going to be both, I felt, was a little bit far-fetched. The fact that Arsenal are seemingly close to moving some players out, if albeit only on loan deals today, has probably given Arsenal that little bit of a boost in terms of, taking people off the wage bill, maybe bringing in sort of, I don't want to say insignificant because they may be significant in terms of bridging the gap between what Arsenal can pay and, what Arsenal need to pay. But that appears to have helped things sort of over the line. Now, we know that Matteo Guendouzi is very, very close to joining Hertha Berlin on loan for the season. We also know that Lucas Torreira is likely to go the other way, joining Atletico Madrid after this. Thomas, well, as not, I'm not going to say as part of the deal because they're two different negotiations, but it will, at the end of the day, we'll likely see Torreira end up as an Atletico player. There was talk about Ser Kolasinac potentially moving out today, but unfortunately, that deal, from what I understand, is off at the moment. That's the latest reports that I've had from Germany. I don't know how accurate that is. That's not to say that it won't sort of come back to life, but at this moment in time, it feels like that one is a no-go. Ser Kolasinac is probably still going to be an Arsenal player at the end of this window. Leverkusen wanted to take him on a loan with an obligation to buy. I'm not entirely sure where or how it's broken down, but it has broken down. And for the time being, unless something changes, unless the deal is resurrected at these very late stages of the transfer window, Ser Kolasinac will stay at Arsenal. In other news, we've actually done a couple of other bits of business today as well, which a lot of people were probably unaware of. I mean, these big signings have literally taken the limelight, haven't they? They really have, and they've been sort of at the forefront of all the discussions today. But it's been reported that Arsenal have signed a young defender, Omar Rekik from Hertha Berlin. Was that part of was Guendouzi a sweetener in that deal? 1 million euros is the fee, and he will come in and train with the Arsenal first team. We're being told he was part of the PSV Youth Academy in the past, and today he is moving from Hertha Berlin to Arsenal. Also, in other news, Arsenal are about to sign Swedish striker Nikolaj Moller. He has had his medical this afternoon, so he'll be coming in to the club as well. Again, not the big name that we kind of have all been focused in, but he's a teenager from Malmo, and he's going to join the club on a 4-year contract in a deal which will cost the club around about £450,000. He's a Swedish under-19 international, had his medical at London Colney today, and that deal will be finalised before the deadline as well, we are led to believe. So potentially we could see 3 players in. Whilst we are on here, we have had confirmation, if you like, from the club that Hertha Berlin have signed Matteo Guendouzi on loan, I should say, online. Been on the internet all day. That has been confirmed by Arsenal Football Club. You will see that if you go onto Arsenal's official Twitter account. So that one is done. We expect Torreira to be done. No movement yet on Socrates. We know that Arsenal were trying to actively move him on. Kolasinac looks to be staying. But most importantly, perhaps, Thomas Partey could become an Arsenal player between now and tonight's deadline. I feel like everything is in place for this to happen, but it is literally a race against the clock now. And I hope to be bringing you guys another stream tonight in which we will confirm that signing. Fingers crossed, guys. Right, let's go over to some of your live comments. A big hello to Graham, to Bad Boy, to Louis Robson, to Big Gunner D, to all of you. There's so many names. I started to read them and I thought, shit, it's too many. I'm not going to go through every single one. But let's get your thoughts on the Thomas Partey stuff. A couple of you sort of asking some questions, which we'll address now as well. Shane says, love the show, Harry. The Kolasinac deal is off from what I can see. In your opinion, does that affect the Partey deal in regards to wages? No, I don't think so. I still think, moving Matteo Guendouzi out, moving Lucas Torreira out, will probably make that difference. As I said, I never felt like personal terms were going to be an issue in this negotiation. It is clear, though, that Atletico Madrid don't really want to sell Thomas Partey. Therefore, the only way we were going to get that deal done or force them, back them into a corner, make it happen, was to go and trigger that release clause. And it appears that Arsenal are prepared and are in sort of, they're in the action of doing that. It's going to happen, apparently. Why would he be having a medical if we hadn't agreed to do that? So it looks like that deal is going to happen regardless of whether Ser Kolasinac goes out or not. Interestingly as well, reports coming out of Spain this afternoon suggest that Diego Simeone is absolutely furious and shocked and disappointed that Atletico Madrid are going to end up losing Thomas Partey on deadline day. But there was always a danger of that from Atletico Madrid's point of view. You've got a release clause in place. In my opinion, it was you know, a lot of the time you see in Spain, players have release clauses. Pretty much everyone's got a release clause in Spain, but they're used to protect the club. And I don't feel like a player of Thomas Partey's quality having a release clause at 50 million euros is necessarily protecting the club. There is an element of this where you think, did Arsenal not want to show Leon that they had money? Is that why they left it so late in their bid to try and get Awar? Was Awar the number one target? I think you can probably safely say that now. And you can say that based on the fact that Arsenal have left this right until the very end. But for those of you who have watched this program for the last few months, you will know that I have been very big on Thomas Partey. For me, if I had to pick one or the other, it was Thomas Partey, just because of the things that he brings to the team, the physical attributes, the athleticism, the ability to get up and down the pitch. There's so many attributes that Thomas Partey has that I feel Arsenal have been missing for years and years and years. So for me, I was absolutely delighted to see that this deal is the one that is close to happening. I'm not saying that Symeou is a bad player or that I didn't want him at Arsenal. Absolutely not saying that. I rate the guy very, very highly. I just think that Thomas Partey's profile fits Arsenal that little bit better. That is my personal opinion. But of course, feel free to challenge me on it. In the comments. Carrie says, from where did they get £45 million? I feel like what's happened here is, Arsenal, in order to get this deal done, are going to stretch themselves probably beyond what they wanted to. I don't think Arsenal wanted to stretch themselves this much in this transfer window. That's my honest opinion. However, having been unable to acquire Symeou, having been unable to, to shift out a number of players, particularly those that are going out on loan. I know Arsenal's preference would have been to move them on permanently or at least secure obligations to buy. That's not happened. Mikel Arteta spoke, didn't he, after the Sheffield United game, that about the fact that the club were doing everything they could to help him and that he wasn't lying, and rest assured the club were doing everything behind the scenes. Well, this suggests, doesn't it, that actually conversations have probably gone on between Arteta, Edu and the hierarchy at Arsenal Football Club with regards to getting one of these deals over the line. And they've pulled some strings somehow and they've managed to raise the funds one way or another. Now, we don't know the ins and outs of that. I'm speculating. But for everybody who was kicking off yesterday, and again, the deal is not done yet. I've got to stress that. Arsenal have at least on deadline day shown some intent. Will it be too late? Hopefully not. Hopefully Arsenal have the time to get this deal over the line. But it's clear that conversations have happened. It's clear that discussions have taken place. And now we're seeing Arsenal actively go after one of their two main priority targets on deadline day. Topher says, selling Gunnersaurus for Partey. It's been another big thing today, hasn't it, that Gunnersaurus has been let go. Well, what's the need for him? I mean, there's no fans in the stadium. There's no community events taking place. And at the end of the day, Gunnersaurus isn't dead. It's just the geezer that was behind the suit. And this may be naive. This may be insensitive of me to say, but I genuinely didn't know who he was before. That's not me saying it's a good thing that the guy's lost his job. It's never nice for anyone to lose their job. And if that can be avoided, of course, that's the primary sort of, the main objective is to keep people in work, of course. But we've seen Arsenal make a number of redundancies. Arsenal are feeling the pinch of the coronavirus. They're making cutbacks. And, I know the Gunnersaurus is part of the culture at the football club, part of the sort of furniture, etc., etc. But, I mean, is it that big a deal? I don't think it is. And I don't mean to sound insensitive by saying that, but some of the reaction to it has just been incredible. Like, it's just been so OTT. Kingsley says, solid. Partey will be great for our midfield. Dream move. Jonathan said, Arteta knew this was happening. His number one target. He was just waiting to see if a while was possible first, which sadly it wasn't, but Partey was number one. Lots of you in the comments talking about the fact that that, of course, Sead Kolasinac appears to be staying. Louis Robson asks, would he have to quarantine? I'm not sure about that, if I'm being completely honest. But, of course, the fact that there is an international break now will help us in that sense. Big hello to Daniel Ford, to Chris Pantelli. T says, Partey would be a brilliant signing. I think we need him more than a while, and if we get this deal over the line, it would be a good window. Lots of you talking about Guendouzi as well, which, as I said just a few minutes ago, that is confirmed now. That is official. Matteo Guendouzi will play for Hertha Berlin this season. Let's see what else we've got here. Lots of people asking, when is the medical? Don't have a specific time, but it has been reported widely by the same sources that broke the story earlier on, that the medical is set to take place soon, and that the medical is likely to take place in Madrid, obviously to save time. Let's see what else we've got here. Dharuv Sharma says, do you think Arsenal might look at the championship market as the local window doesn't shut till the 16th? Personally, I don't. I don't. I really don't. I can't see Arsenal sort of dipping into the championship for players. I think the preference will probably be to focus more on the development of some of our younger players as opposed to going down that championship route. So no, I don't expect Arsenal to do anything with regards to the championship. Lots of you telling me that Guendouzi has been confirmed, as I said a little bit earlier on, but of course, you guys were throwing that in the comments whilst I was speaking. So thank you for the update. I can always rely on this chat to keep me updated, which is great. Love it. Master Mike says, what's happening with Ozil? Nothing. It is the answer to that. There was talk about him maybe going somewhere on deadline day, but it was those rumours were quashed and essentially put to bed very early this morning when it came to like that actually Mesut Ozil will not be going anywhere. Would it be the worst thing in the world with Thomas Partey providing that extra stability in the side if, of course, that deal gets done? For Mesut Ozil to be brought back into the fold, I don't think it would be. Others would beg to differ, but, you know, it's still a long way from, we're still a long way from seeing Mesut Ozil back in the side. Carl Alexander Cox says, Arsenal all over, lastminute.com, but I'd be more confident of a top 4 finish. What else have we got? Lots of your comments, just scrolling through. Inzo says, Jesus, does he see the chat? Where does he see and talk? You've lost me, mate. What do you mean? Let's keep going. Bradley Costello says, if we were skint, why have we bought these young players today? It's right, Arsenal have apparently done about £1.5 million worth of business, bringing in a couple of players. The first one being the Malmo striker, Nikolaj Moller. He is, of course, coming in for around about £500,000. And it's also been sort of reported, although the club haven't announced either of those two yet, but we know that those deals are very, very close. And the other one is, of course, the young Omar Rekik from Hertha Berlin. He is coming in. Central defender, expected to go straight into training with the first team. What else have we got here? Andy Papagiorgio says, Kolasinac staying has ruined my day. Look, I think it's a little bit harsh. I think a lot of people have been very anti-Sead Kolasinac, and for good reason. He's not been great. He's not really, I don't think, taken to this role of playing as a left-sided centre-back. He was very much used previously as a wing-back that would get forward and provide us that drive and stuff on the left-hand side, which I thought he did well at times. But at the end of the day, you know, yes, he's not good enough, but I do feel like he's the next in the long line of Arsenal players who have just been made the scapegoat. You know, first it was Xhaka, then it was Mustafi for a bit. Now it's Kolasinac. It just feels like as Arsenal fans, we always have to have one. And Kolasinac seems to be the latest one. And he also goes on to say, I'll never forgive him for White Hart Lane last season. Yeah, look, I get where you're coming from. I do get where you're coming from. He is, you know, he's not up to the level that we need. He's not going to help us progress. But the fact that Mikel Arteta has included him in the team so often suggests that he was higher up in his books than maybe in ours. And if you trust Mikel Arteta, you've got to kind of understand that to a degree. Graham says, can Ozil be the new Gunnosaurus? I've seen that banded about a lot today. And, if he's not doing anything, then why not? Why not? Right, guys, get your questions in the live chat. There's a few here which I'll pick up, and we'll go for another 10 minutes or so. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be bringing you another live stream later tonight in which we can confirm that Thomas Partey is an Arsenal player. But for the time being, we're not at that point yet. We're not there just yet. Thomas Partey is expected to undergo an Arsenal medical at some point very, very soon. We know that Arsenal's legal team are at London Colney working very, very hard behind the scenes to get this done. But it's not done yet. I have to stress that it isn't done yet. We're going to have to wait and see whether we can get this done between now and the deadline slamming shut. All the noises suggest that it is likely. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see what you guys have had to say in terms of your questions. I've seen a few here. Let me just pick them up. Just Being says, do you think they have brought in those new young players because of the possible problems of European transfers after Brexit? Possibly. It's a good point. I feel like Arsenal are very much looking towards the future at the moment. I feel like Arsenal have got a more, clear vision in terms of where they want to be, in terms of how they want to develop players. It's not, yes, you use the academy, but it's about identifying European talent early and bringing those in. We've seen that work for us so very well in the past, particularly in the Arsene Wenger days at the beginning, where he would spot talent, bring them in, and they'd go on to become essentially world beaters. I'm not saying that is the case, but when you look at some of the recent ones that we've brought in from outside of the club, i.e. Gabriel Martinelli, it certainly looked a very good piece of business. And so I'm not against Arsenal doing that. With those transfers, it is very little risk, but the reward could be potentially huge. So, yeah, I'm all for stuff like that. I really am. Topher asks, did we ever need to get Awar in the first place? We do have Willian, Saka, Ceballos and Mill Smith-Rowe who can all play a cam role. Well, at the moment, Arsenal don't even play with a central attacking midfielder. So, it does seem strange that people were so adamant about us, getting one of those players. Now, does Mikel Arteta probably want to switch to a back four eventually? I think he probably does. I think he does want to play that way. But I think somebody like Thomas Partey gives you the ability to attack. He is useful in that sense and in that element of the game, but he also gives you that added security, that physicality, that athleticism to get back and protect the defence. And perhaps a signing like Thomas Partey would allow us to change that system and in turn add a little bit more creativity into the side further forward, because it has been a bit of a problem, hasn't it, in recent times. Right, quick reminder, if you haven't already, smash that like button. I'm just going to check in on YouTube and see how many of you have done that so far. There are over 400 of you watching us at the moment across the multiple platforms. But if you're on YouTube in particular, smash that like button. We've only got 72 likes. There are over 300 of you on YouTube, guys. Come on, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. We're well on the way to 10,000 subscribers. Let's get there as soon as possible. And as I said, when we get to 10,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away the new Arsenal home kit. So, or home shirt, I should say. So, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's get there as soon as we possibly can. Like the video, it always helps. And yeah, fingers crossed. As I said, later on we'll be back to talk about Thomas Partey joining Arsenal Football Club. Come on. Just a quick reminder also that this podcast is sponsored by Manscaped.com. So if you want your body hair to look as lush, as trim, hopefully not as green though as the Emirates Stadium pitch, head over to Manscaped.com. Check out the Lawnmower 3.0. That's the one I've got. It's fantastic. And if you enter the discount code, which is now rolling across the bottom of your screen, which is Chronicles AFC, all in capitals, you will not only receive 20% off, but you'll also get free UK shipping. So do check that out. Have a look. The products are fantastic. They're a good laugh, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail on a less hectic day. But it is transfer deadline day today. The focus is very much on Thomas Partey. Arsenal have brought in, or are gonna bring in two young players, a centre back and a centre forward, but all eyes are on Thomas Partey. Just a quick roundup then. Thomas Partey is due to undergo an Arsenal medical. The club have informed La Liga that they're going to trigger the release clause. So we are just waiting for all of that to be done. And then hopefully before the deadline tonight, we will hear news of Thomas Partey joining Arsenal. Matteo Guendouzi has now officially joined Hertha Berlin on loan. Still no word on Lucas Torreira though. I believe that the Partey deal may have something to do with that because of the fact that Atletico have too many non-EU players. I think that is it. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But I think there is something in that as to why that deal hasn't been confirmed yet. Of course, Thomas Partey leaving would create space in the squad for Lucas Torreira. So it could be a case of waiting for that one to go through before Torreira is confirmed as well. Sead Kolasinac to Bayer Leverkusen, as far as we're aware, is off. And that rounds up the latest on this very, very busy transfer deadline day for the Arsenal. As I said, hopefully we'll be back later on. You know what? I'll be back later on regardless, either to celebrate or to have a rant. So either way, we'll be back late tonight. So stay tuned. Keep an eye on your feed. Hit the notifications button on YouTube. Hit the little bell icon. That way you'll get notified when we go live or when a broadcast is scheduled. So very much looking forward to talking to you guys a little bit later on. For now, I'm off to sit in front of Sky Sports News and pray. So until then, take care. Cheers.